What's going on YouTube? Welcome back to the channel. In today's video, as you guys can see behind me, the GTR and myself are at WTF Motorsports and we are finally lowering the car today. I'm so excited. We're finally getting rid of that monster truck fitment and wheel gap. So yeah, can't wait to see what the end result looks like after the springs settle. I'll show you guys the setup that we went with shortly, but as always, make sure you guys drop a like, comment down below, follow me on Instagram if you want to, and now let's get into this video. So CJ's already getting the car in the air. I forgot to do a measurement with my measuring tape from the bottom of the lip to the fender, but to give you guys some reference, I had a 2-finger gap on the rear, and I think essentially the same on the front. I had a 2-finger gap on the front. The car is lifted right now, so it's not too accurate, but there you go, 2 fingers in the front. So we'll do a comparison afterwards and see how much it actually drops. Swift actually rates these springs for a 1-inch drop all around, so we'll see if that's true. Once they're settled in and stuff, I think it's gonna look insane. All right, the hovercraft is officially in the air. I think CJ's gonna get started with the fronts first. We got the BBS LMs off the car. I think you have to move a little more things out of the way in the front, but overall not too bad. CJ starting on the other side. But yeah, we're gonna be replacing these OEM springs right here with the Swift springs in the box behind me. And yeah, taking out the rear strut is a bit of a pain, as you guys will see in the next clip of me gutting my whole entire rear. All right, before we can get rid of this monster truck fitment, we have to actually gut out the interior of the GTR. What's crazy to me is how advanced GTRs were for their time. For some reason, the Japanese engineers wanted to make it super difficult to change the stock suspension, that they actually put the bolts to the rear struts behind the rear seat under the rear windshield. So you basically have to gut the whole interior just to get to those 3 bolts for each side. So it makes the job a little bit of a pain, but I'm gonna save Curtis and the team over at WTF some time. So that way when I bring the car in, all we're gonna be doing is a normal spring install, you know, just jacking the car up, taking the old strut out, and then putting the new spring on. But yeah, it's pretty straightforward. We're just gonna go ahead and take out the interior piece by piece. All right, firstly, we're gonna take off this rear cushion right here. There should be a tab you can pull that should release the cushion just like that, and it should come right out. Look at this leather, super premium. Hasn't been used because who can actually sit in the rear of a GTR? Same for the other side. Yo, it is a tight fit in here. That's another thing. The rear seats are super tight, so it doesn't make it easy to work with. The next thing we're gonna do is take out this 14mm bolt right here, and that should undo the cushion that's held in by 2 clips on top. All right, next we have to take out this rear center arm piece and a little pressure to snap it off. Then there's a little connection here that you have to undo. All right, once you undo that connection, then you have 2 10mm nuts holding in the subwoofer or speaker right here. Pop it out without breaking any clips. Full on race car mode now, gutted interior. Weight reduction. All right, next we have to take out the side panels. There's just a push pin right here, and then it's just clipped in. So again, be very careful and try not to break any of the clips. Well, that was fun. All right, next we have to take out a Phillips head behind the hanger hook, unbolt the seatbelt so we can get this whole side panel off. And essentially that'll let us take out this last piece right here, this polyester black piece over the speakers, which should reveal the rear struts. After that's undone, it'll look like this. That whole panel should just snap out of place. This is insane. I'm out of breath yanking and pulling on all these panels, but as you guys can see, we're almost done. All we have left now is this back piece, and it's held in by 4 or 6 Phillips head screwdrivers. So finally we made it to the finish line. Then you'll be left with this, which is why we did this whole entire job. I don't even know if this is harder than the spring install itself. Nah, I'm kidding. But here is the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. Under this aluminum like 3M covering, it's gonna be hard to see. I can't really get the camera up there without going outside. These are where the 3 bolts for the top of the strut for the rear sits, and then the same thing on the other side. I'm fucking sweating. But yeah, that is all she wrote. It's actually very easy, just a little time consuming of course, but I think that's gonna save us a lot of time when we go do the install on Friday. So we're gonna fast forward when we get back into the install. So I'll catch you guys back at WTF in the next clip. So we actually went with the Swift Sport Springs, super popular on the GTR platform. I think it gives the best drop for the best price, best bang for your buck, I guess you would say. And the funny story about these springs is I actually ordered them back in December, but they were back ordered with all vendors online until late February, early March. But luckily a guy in California had these actually unboxed and unopened, and I was able to buy them and pick them up from him, so I didn't have to wait. So yeah, that's why we're here today. And we're finally gonna be lowering the GTR. Let's go. I think for right now, springs are fine. Maybe down the road, I'll finally do a full coilover setup on my first car. But right now, for what I need, I think springs are gonna be just fine. It's gonna stiffen up the ride. Obviously get rid of that monster truck wheel gap that we have now, which is the most important thing. Hopefully it should ride close to OEM. The OEM springs feel like you're going over a cloud when you go over bumps, so obviously we're gonna not get that same result, but I've heard these ride pretty smooth as well. I'm not gonna lie, I've almost had the car for a year, and for the last like 9 months or so, it's been a breeze going over speed bumps, inclines, declines without worrying about scraping. But we're car guys, we have to lower the car. We can't be driving around with that giant wheel gap, of course. And we definitely had to get rid of the wheel gap because with the new BBS setup, it was looking bougie with that wheel gap, you know what I mean? I actually haven't shot any reels in the past like month or so because I just want to get content with the car finally lowered. That way everybody on Instagram and YouTube can finally stop saying, when are you gonna lower the car? It's happening today, let's go. Hardest part of this job is the front strut because there's not enough clearance to get it out, but a little bit of help from Kyle and CJ. Two-man job, finally got that bitch out. CJ is tightening down the strut so he can compress the spring so it doesn't fling up. And then this top bolt right here, you need a special socket to get it off. It's a 17 millimeter. And you also have to put some leverage right here while you're loosening it. Curtis is in the building now with a breaker bar and a pass-through socket. They were able to get the OEM spring off, and now the front right spring is on, seated properly at the bottom. All you have to do is reinstall in reverse order. Make sure the top hat bolts are in the same position as when you took them off, so that way when we put it back in the car, it doesn't spin around. And then we'll compare the springs side by side. Swift on the right, they look about the same length. It's a little more compressed, of course, so that's going to give us our ride height difference as well as our stiffness. So yeah, usually if you have a spring compressor on the ground, you can do this on the floor, but since they're using a real spring compressor, one person bolts the breaker bar and the other person tightens down using leverage. So yeah, definitely a two-man job. Now, front strut's going back in. Once he can finagle it all the way through, we'll pull the EDC cable out and tighten the top bolts right here.
I get the easy part.
We're outside checking out Curtis's 360 Spider that he actually got for a steal and did a couple maintenance items, and it's back up and running now. Absolutely beautiful. We'll show you guys what cars are inside the shop. We have Godzilla, of course, a couple Beamers in for maintenance. Got a sick F80 right here, slammed on some TEs, I think. I know this person, I forget. I'm pretty sure I follow him on Instagram. Sick Mineral Gray F80, purple wrapped FF. This thing sick. You guys want a V12 for very cheap from Ferrari? You can get one of these for like 130, 120. Sound insane. First gen R8, beautiful turbo. All of Curtis's race cars. But if you guys have any mods or maintenance you need for your BMWs, they do every car, obviously. They do GTRs, Ferraris, McLarens I've seen in here. Hit up Curtis and the team at WTF Motorsports and they will definitely take care of you. Driver's side is out. New spring's about to go on. Passenger side is all buttoned up, as you guys can see there. Got Curtis working in the back in that tight space to get the rear struts out. See if you guys can see it. It's a super tight space, especially with the windshield, but he's managing it. I think it's a 12 millimeter nut that he's taking out by hand. And then that should free up the rear strut from the top. And then all it's held in by is that bolt right there that he already undid. So rear is definitely easier than the front. Smooth sailing from now, hopefully. All right, only took Curtis like 5 minutes to get the rear strut out. Now he's working on the other side. The rears are definitely easier than the fronts. And Curtis said I saved him a lot of time by gutting the interior, so Love to hear that. Next on the to-do list, we're probably gonna get these coated by Caleb at Hands On Detailing. And he's also gonna be tinting my front windshield. So that will be probably in a few weeks or so. And then we're gonna take the car to Ogun at Motion Auto Studios and get the calipers painted. That'll probably be in a month or so. Still debating on what color to go with. I'll probably go red for now to match the center caps and the interior. Leave a comment down below what other color you guys think might look good. And then yeah, besides those three things, definitely gonna get an alignment in a few weeks once the springs settle.
Buy a GTR, they said it would be fun, they said.
Right? If anybody's wondering, these are Bilstein shocks. Shout out to Curtis from doing the job inside. Kyle, CJ for helping me out always. Still has to settle, of course, but definitely sitting lower. Sheesh. Obviously, springs still have to settle, but definitely a noticeable difference now. Only a 1 finger gap versus where it was before, 2. And again, the springs obviously still have to settle. I'll show you guys a better look from the outside. Check out the front gap right here. Also, about a 1 finger gap as well. I think that's perfect. I think once it settles, we'll be chilling hard. I don't want to be too slammed, honestly, because I don't want to bust my front lip. So I think this is perfect for now. Car is looking hella good. Shout out to Curtis and the team here at WTF for always taking care of me. Let's go. Alright, the car definitely feels more planted, lower center of gravity, and definitely more stiffer. And as you guys can see in here, we have no rear interior, so the sound is super amplified in here right now. Sounds like a freaking race car. Alright, we just drove home from WTF Motorsports, and as I just said, the car definitely feels more stiffer, more planted to the ground. And it feels like a full-on race car. Like, listen to this. Shit. That's insane. How to hit the underpass, you already know. But on top of it being, you know, stiffer as springs normally do, the steering wheel actually feels a little more stiffer as well. And unlike BMWs where you can change the stiffness level of your steering wheel, in GTRs you can't really do that. So what I've noticed on my drive home is actually lowering the car made the steering wheel a lot stiffer, which was one of my gripes with the GTR. I wish that you could adjust it like on BMWs, but now it's perfect. So I'm super happy about that. All right, it is a few hours later and we teleported to a little warehouse near my house, and I just wanted to show you guys how the car sits now. It actually looks insane. You know, when we pulled it off the lift, obviously we still have like probably like a 1-inch finger gap all around, but you guys see it right here. The car needed this drop desperately. Before we put these Swift springs on, it felt like a monster truck, and it felt like we had like a 4-inch finger gap in the back. And now, as you guys can see, it's looking hella spicy up front. Probably only like a true finger gap up front, And then similar in the rear, we have about a 1 finger gap with a little bit of room as well. But again, I'm super happy with the outcome. None of the spring setups for GTRs really slam the car, you know, like we're used to in the BMW world. Unless I do a full coilover setup, you know, the car's not going to be slammed to the ground. We still have some clearance, which again is going to be good for my front lip. But again, we got rid of the majority of the wheel gap, and I can't be, you know, more thrilled about that. I'm super happy with the outcome. Again, huge shout out to WTF Motorsports. I think it looks amazing. As I just mentioned in the previous clip, the ride is definitely stiffer. The steering is a lot tighter as well. And again, it just feels more planted to the ground, which again enhances the overall driving experience. I don't know if it'll be in this video or one of the future videos, but we're gonna go get an alignment done at PSI if they take my car in. And yeah, we'll get the alignment and camber all dialed in. As of right now, I think the alignment is still pretty good. The steering is pretty straight, but we'll go in and just get it dialed in and probably in like a week or so. But yeah, stay tuned for that. I'll be sure to go over all the numbers with you guys. All right, we just made it back home. Again, huge shout out to WTF Motorsports for helping me out with the install. If you guys need anything done to your car, make sure you guys hit up Curtis and the team over there. They'll definitely take care of you. But that's gonna wrap it up for this video. As always, make sure you guys drop a like, comment down below, subscribe if you want to, follow me on Instagram if you want to, and we'll catch you guys on the next video. Take care, peace.